Well, I have the privilege to work with the partnership between the Virginia Baptist and the Ghana Baptist Convention, particularly with Reverend Emmanuel Kwabena Mustafa, working with the More Than Nets initiative. The goal is to give out 100,000 mosquito nets over 2 calendar years to specifically target malaria in the Yendi District of northern Ghana. Yendi is a city of 50,000 people. It's also the name of the district, which has 100,000 people in it. So I was able to do the administrative assistant work, write the reports, keep track of the numbers, document it with photos, to really be a part of this work. I got to do a lot of the follow-up visits with the mosquito nets. They would show us into their house very graciously and show us that they had their net hanging properly. I got to interview with moms who just said, "Thank you, my children are healthy. Thank you, we've been able to work all year. Thank you." And it was just, I feel kind of selfish getting that experience all to myself. When we come in to give mosquito nets, we are not UNICEF, we are not the Ghana Health Services. It opens doors, it makes people curious. Who are you? What are you doing here? Why have you come this far? It opens the doors in communities where there are already churches. The church members are the people who distribute the mosquito nets. Where they haven't started churches before, they gather people together, they share the gospel. Afterwards, they're able to distribute the mosquito nets. Doesn't matter whether you prayed to receive Christ or not, we're here to give you a mosquito net. But it's a beautiful impact. It makes people stop to think of, who are you and why do you love us this much? Church planting can be done without the mosquito nets. Plain and simple, God is more powerful than we are. He doesn't need mosquito nets to do it, but the mosquito nets are a blessing. Everyone, even myself, was very skeptical about the idea of church planting. They're like, what do you mean you started 6 or 7 churches in a day? To go into a community, to meet with the chief, to then sit down with people and share the gospel and to think that a church has been established. We think of that as, we're like, you just preached once. God has really blessed the ministry, and He's also been preparing the area for the gospel. God has been at work so long ahead of us that we think, well, we just did something very small, but God used that just as a seed, and it's something very big, actually. I got to go back and visit these churches and to see that they are growing, to see that they're growing in number, that people have not only heard the gospel, accepted it, but they are also sharing it with people. I got to speak to churches and to challenge them, saying that God has blessed you. Go out into the communities around you. Go see your friends, your neighbors. Go share the good news with them. I think that's very exciting, just to see that these churches that are started, that God is working through them, that we might think of them as babies. They might be tiny, but it doesn't mean that they're not powerful. A lot of times when you go into a community, you share the gospel. You say, we have a Bible, who is able to read this? A lot of times it's younger people that step forward and then are able to teach. I find this very inspiring in a culture that very much so honors the older generations, that there's still room for this younger generation to step forward, to lead, to lovingly lead people. A lot of times the church is only started with the Bible and with the Holy Spirit, but we can never discount the power of the Holy Spirit in the way that God is working in these communities' lives. When people are hungry for the gospel, it's something that you will never forget. You will never forget the earnestness in which people want to know more about Christ.